Emilia Romagna, one of my adopted regions. I come from Milan. I was born in Milan. Part of my family is from Puglia, but I lived in Ferrara, which is a beautiful Renaissance city near Bologna, when between 10 to 18 years old. So, and also I studied in Bologna and Cesena, which is part of the Romagna area, Cesena. And Emilia Romagna for me is like an adopted region. If we have to synthesize the concept of the sense of community, or what I think people like about Italy, I guess that Emilia Romagna represented more than any other regions in Italy. They are so welcoming. There are people that are usually kind of nice, a really low level of aggressivity, of anger, and also usually a social system that works quite well. So this is mainly due to a lot of cultural reasons. And when it comes to wine, it's a bit more complicated because Emilia Romagna produced one wine that is the iconic wine of the everyday joyful sense of life. It's called the Lambrusco. Lambrusco is probably the oldest sparkling wine in the world. At least the consortium of the Lambrusco, they pretend this. They have a paper that says they used to be produced a wine with bubbles in the year 1455, so 250 years before champagne, as we know it now, was even conceived. In that case, we talk about wine di spuma. Presa di spuma used to be a wine that started the fermentation in October, of course, after the harvest. Then climate and winter used to stop the fermentation. At those times, they didn't have like places that they could keep the cellar warm the entire year. So the fermentation used to restart in the barrels in April. And they used to have this one that was slightly moved, with bubbles. And this actually created, more or less consciously, a marriage between wine and food in their region, more than any other places in the world, because you have a lot of food in Emilia-Romagna, and especially in the Emilia region. I'm talking about gnocco fritto, that is a kind of a fried bread pizza, cotechino, which is a really fat salami, salama da sugo, for example, in Ferrara, which is a salami that really takes a couple of weeks just to digest it, and it's really strong and salty in flavor, a lot of fat, and so Lambrusco is a light sparkling wine that goes perfectly, or even the Parmigiano Reggiano. Now, said that, we have to tell the sad part of the story. This is a region that has economically developed a lot in the last 60, 70 years, especially if we talk about Modena. Modena is the place of Lamborghini, of Ducati, of Ferrari. We're talking about the higher concentration of money in the entire, one of the highest concentration of rich people in of the entire Italy, and one of the richest area of Europe. But then there is a bit of a split between the industrial area and the countryside. So what happened in Emilia, especially when it comes to Lambrusco, Lambrusco became an easy commodity. If you're Americans and you are older than 70, 75 years old, you probably remember Cantine Riunite or Riunite. There used to be a kind of a fake Lambrusco produced by the Mariani family. The Mariani family is the same one that changed their name in Banfi, in Montalcino. And so they created this, they used to call it the Italian Coca, so it was a sweeter version of Lambrusco. And a big twist happened when we moved from the petnat Lambrusco, the Lambrusco that was fermented in the bottle naturally, to the autoclave, which is the big stainless steel tank where it's easier. Most of the Prosecco are made like this. So we're talking about sparkling wines that are industrial. Until the end of the 90s, there were 2-3 official producers left of Lambrusco that used to make Lambrusco like once upon a time. We need to deeply thank people like Plessi, like Saetti, and after them like Bergianti and Podere Cipolla, Danny Bini, and a few others. If now we are going back to the traditional type of Lambrusco. What's the difference? It's a wine that tastes more about the grape variety, about the place. It's more terroir driven, easier to drink, less sulfites. I wouldn't use the word natural because it's been a bit abused. And so now I am glad to say that there are at least 15, 20 winemakers that are doing an incredible job. But I mainly need to thank one guy that is called Max Brondolo. He doesn't really belong to that area. He arrived in Emilia, I think, 15 years ago. And his incredible capacity of weaving people, he was so welcoming with us, and he connected us with Luca Pizzetti, with Bergianti, with Plessi, with Saetti, with Denny, and a lot of other winemakers of the area. So we somehow recreated a bit of a community, which is the deep sense of what is Lambrusco created for, so to bring people together. And also he's, first of all, he's an honey producer, and everyone that is making honey nowadays is technically saving a bit the planet, because I don't know if you know it, that wild bees are so rare nowadays in the world. So if we have flowers and plants and seed and nature and human being, is because of a lot of humans that are still producing honey. And also there is another thing that Max Brondolo does is recovering, rediscovering and saving different version grape varieties of Lambrusco. I don't know if you know it, that there are more than 40, according to Max, 44 different types of Lambrusco, and there are also some local grape varieties that were completely unknown. We mainly need to thank Plessi for that. One of them, for example, is Uva Tosca. Uva Tosca and Trebbiano di Spagna are two grape varieties, and especially the Uva Tosca, that can even create incredible white wines, but also when it comes to sparkling with a high acidity are perfect. So the Cattabrega is it's a sparkling wine, of course, of both of them re-fermented naturally in the bottle, both of them with no sulfite soda, no selected yeast, completely natural. This is one of my favorite wine. I am actually moving from Champagne to Lambrusco, and so this will actually happen to be slightly lighter. This is more a deep type of Lambrusco with a higher percentage of Grasparossa. Grasparossa is the darker color of Lambrusco, and this is like a joyful way of conceiving the concept of sparkling. I call it the simple complexity, and it's ideal, and especially with heavy food, but it can go with appetizer, but also with big, more fulfilling dishes.